Good evening. My name is Seafood Dave Charles from KAJUKENBO Napoli here in Naples, Italy. I wanted to make a video here today. I wanted to talk a little bit about another video that I made recently. And actually, this is kind of a part two and continuation of that video. When I was talking about BOA and the standards for 8th and 9th degrees. Some of the comments that came up after the fact and after the video was published. And I was kind of surprised on a lot of them. I got accused of walking things back a little bit, and I don't think I ever did that. I want to play the meat of the consternation here piece of the video here and what I actually did say. Okay, next bio we have is Grandmaster Ron Esteller. Ron Esteller began his training in 1967 in the TKD program at Shabbat College, but found his home in Gaylord Method in 1968. Okay, so 1968 until now, that's more than 40 years. So that's checking a block for the time requirement. And it lists a few things here. Let's see. Okay, well, you can read his bio there. Okay, and then we go to Ron Esteller on the family tree. So here's Ron Esteller. He's got a lot of black belts underneath him, but he has no black belts that have black belts. So that to me is concerning. I don't want to take away from his accomplishments and his contribution to Kajukenbo, but the requirements state you have to have second generation black belts. I'm getting there. 9th degree, downline of 2 generations of black belts. And that's also where I said this statement was incorrect because they don't each have 2 downlines of black belts. So with that said, moving on. Okay, so again, I showed the copy of the family tree, and I said he's got a lot of black belts, but none of his black belts have any black belts. And I said that was concerning. And I also said, but I don't want to take anything away from him or anything away from his accomplishments. Okay. So again, nowhere in there did I say that he doesn't deserve to be a Grand Master. All I did say is he does not meet the requirements set forth by the BOA. And so now I realized that all I did was I showed you a screenshot of the BOA requirements. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the web page I pulled that from. Okay, so this web page here is kajukenbo.com /directory/BOA. Okay, this is CJO's Board of Advisors. Okay, and it shows you some information. Okay, gives you some contact information. CJO's BOA3@gmail.com. I did email that 2 weeks prior to the video and asked some questions about the content that I presented to you all. However, I got absolutely no answer back. So, and I did get contacted by Senior Grandmaster Kenji as well, asking me why I didn't try to contact them first, but I did try to. But apparently, that email inbox is not effective. So with that, it says about the board of directors. It says the board of directors for Kajukenbo was formed in 2009 for the purpose of certifying from within the Kajukenbo system. The BOA was selected by CJO Adriana Emperado. Okay. The mission of the Board of Advisors is to manage, certify, and implement the wishes of CJO Adriana Emperado to ensure that all black belts be worthy of a promotion to 7th and 8th degree. From 7th to 8th degree professor and from 8th to 9th degree Grand Master to implement and serve notice to all Kajukenbo factions of promotions awarded. Okay, and then it goes into the procedure here on how to go about doing that. I'm supposed to email the board liaison to petition and or nominate individuals for promotion and review by the Board of Advisors. Promotion ceremony will be held once a year at the annual KSDI tournament. And the BOA will not respond to petitions and or nominations to individuals outside of the Kajukenbo system. The board will not respond to any inquiries regarding the validity of promotions to those outside the umbrella of the KSDI. Okay, and then it goes into the members, okay, which I took a screenshot of this right here and showed you the membership in my last video. And here are the promotion requirements that I spoke to in my last video. All I did is I cut those from this screen right here. Okay, so with that said, we'll move right along to okay, so I talked a little bit about what I did say and what I guess what I didn't say in my original video. Now what I want to do too is I want to talk a little bit about some of the reaction that I got. And to be honest with you, there isn't a whole lot of it out in the public space. And unfortunately, that's probably due to some of this stuff being censored by people that are running the group chats that are part of the BOA. Maybe not agreeing with it and thinking that I'm kind of being disrespectful in the fact that I'm pointing out the fact that the BOA has a standard that one of the BOA members appears to not have met based off of the family tree, the 2022 edition, which is, by the way, I guess that'd be 8 years. No, 2016. That's 6 years after that said member was, I think, became a part of the BOA according to the bio. So I realized that, it does take some time to update the family tree. That was one of the things that I was told is that the tree is going to get updated to reflect that he has black belts, but I know there's not a 5-year backlog or more to upgrade the family tree. So, with that said, we'll probably talk about some of the other responses as well. But for the most part, I just want to hit some of the responses that we were able to get on the Kajukenbo group chats. Unfortunately, I'm not able to keep that in private, and I have to post this stuff on YouTube for all to see because we're not allowed to discuss this in the group chats because it's not seen as appropriate, I guess, to question some people while other people's it is. And that's one of the reasons why I'm bringing up this video, and it's the main reason really why I'm bringing up the videos, because some people are criticized more than others, and I don't think that's right. And I think if you want to uphold the standard should be for all, and not for just some of us. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and I want to share with you some of the reaction that we've gotten here so far. So here we go. I'm sharing my screen with you here, and I've got some comments that were made, and I believe this is in the pit, and I appreciate the pit because the pit doesn't seem to censor much, and I'm allowed to share content on there, so that's kind of nice. But I have a comment here from Rick Kenji that says I may contact him directly and correct him. And another comment from Rick Kenji that says he's not worth replying to. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and move to my next screenshot here. And this is where Rick Kenji actually contacted me in Messenger. And I guess this is, this is his correction here where he says, Sijo's BOA recognizes all black belts, Sifus, Sigungs, professors, grandmasters from all branches. We are not comparing or disrespecting anyone. When there is a BOA promotion in Las Vegas for Sijo's BOA members, we invite other grandmasters to stand with us. I understand that you haven't seen any of our promotions, so instead of listening to someone else, ask us directly and get the truth. You can reach out to me anytime. I also feel you should fact check before making statements. Okay, so with that said, just because I haven't been there in person doesn't mean I haven't seen any of the promotions. I've seen several of them on YouTube. With that said, I'll go ahead and talk about my response. I just said, hey, to include Senior Grandmaster Jimenez, which is who I fall under, which I would think is why you stated he is not worth replying to. I didn't disrespect anybody in my video and only attempted to lay out the facts that are publicly available. And I asked, was anything not factual? I do not wish to be disrespectful, and that is not my intent. I have absolutely no reason to do so, and I've always held all of my Kajukenbo brothers and sisters with high regard. Now, prior to this video, I have reached out, as you say, okay? I have chatted with Grandmaster Fraticelli after reaching out to Mary Emperado regarding the incident that took place in the Kajukenbo training center room on Facebook. I spoke to him about Senior Grandmaster Jimenez and his Grandmaster promotion and asked the KSDI to weigh in. His certificate was signed by Kajukenbo royalty, 1 great Grandmaster, 4 senior Grandmasters, and 1 Grandmaster. Although 1 has been defrocked, and the other 5 should stand. After all, the BOA approved Senior Grandmaster Lopez, my first Sifu, who was promoted the same day by the same folks. Go ahead and ask Senior Grandmaster New, as he signed both of the certificates, as did Sifu Aldecascos. I also emailed the BOA email listed in the BOA Facebook room 2 weeks ago, trying to ask about the content I presented in my video. I want us all to work together, but every time I turn around, I'm asked to defend my lineage. I was called by 2 of your BOA members and warned by 1 to be careful with Senior Grandmaster Jimenez. And when asked why, was told nothing. In fact, I was told to ask the KAA leadership by that BOA member. I also chatted briefly to Grandmaster Stellar following the incident mentioned above and found that exchange to be less than pleasant, and something he said something about the mat of the parking lot, or something about the mat of the parking lot was mentioned. Okay, so I do reach out. I have asked several times to include Grandmaster Gagne. Also was under Sid and was Seabach Gagne when I was a green belt under Sid. Okay, I'm a retired military and I've always maintained integrity, and I feel that as a black belt, I must do the same. I get it. Okay, and I'm not anybody special, but that doesn't mean I'm nobody and that I'm wrong. Okay, I'm always willing to be a part of the solution, and I will do what I can. It doesn't help when leadership tries to cancel you because they don't like what you said or who your Sifu is. I appreciate the open invitation to reach out, and I hope this could be the opening of a dialogue. By the way, when you make comments about federations, there is only one, so we know who you're talking about. In any case, I hope we can work together to drive change. I got to run. It's 1 a.m. here, respectively, Dave. So I'd be remiss if I don't show another comment he had made the next day, which said, with Sijo's BOA, it's not our job to reach out to grandmasters or professors. It is usually asked or recommended by someone from the Federation organization to recognize under Sijo's criteria to certify that individual. Only in some cases, when a person has lost his teacher through death or disagreement, we will recognize that person, but we still contact his teacher or group to vent his time at Kajukenbo. Once a Grandmaster is recommended to Sijo's BOA, he has to follow the quiet lines of 30 active years for Professor, 40 active years for Grandmaster. I have not mentioned your teacher or any other teacher. They can promote to any degree that they want through their group, which many do, and have never seen them in person or in the mat. Our job is to vent as much information as we can with anyone who's recommended to be recognized by the BOA. Ron has asked Grandmaster Phil Galinas to upgrade the tree, and not everybody contacts him to upgrade. So there's the 5-year backlog thing I mentioned earlier with the family tree to get it updated. Although I have some other information on that as well, that is no longer present on Facebook due to it being deleted, where it was stated that said Grandmaster's black belts put down their black belts under him as a sign of respect. And his family member, who's also a black belt under him, stated the same. So with that said, I don't want to dive all into that too much, but I do think that that is also kind of the other standard that's not mentioned here when it talks about 30 active years or 40 active years is the other standard where you have to have second generation black belts And that was the discrepancy that I pointed out on the family tree. Now, I could understand if, sometimes people don't update the family tree, but clearly that's not the case here. And to me, it kind of makes it even look a little fishier when we start doing the backpedaling that's going on here. Now, it does say in here as well that, it's usually asked or recommended by someone from the federation organization to recognize under CJOS criteria to certify that individual only in some cases when a person has lost his teacher through death or disagreement. Well, I think that's kind of what I've been trying to ask you guys to do, is to take a look at Senior Grandmaster Jimenez and say, hey, obviously Great Grandmaster Gaylord is gone. He's no longer with us. Okay. And as many have quite painfully pointed out, Senior Grandmaster Vargas is defrocked. Okay, so he got his black belt under Senior Grandmaster Vargas. He got all of his degrees under Great Grandmaster Gaylord, neither of which are here anymore. Okay, his certificate was signed by 6, one being the defrocked Senior Grandmaster. Okay, and then the rest of them, the other 5, all Kajukenbo royalty. Okay. Only 2 of which are still alive, I believe. That would be Senior Grandmaster Aldecascos and Senior Grandmaster Robert New. Okay. So essentially, I would ask that you would at least take a look at that and make a statement that, okay, that Grand Mastership is valid, okay, and not invalid, as so many have argued because of the demise of Senior Grandmaster Vargas, which would also invalidate several others, to include 3 that were done in the Pac Northwest, I think the year prior to Senior Grandmaster Jimenez's promotion. Okay, so officially, I think the Vargas thing was written down on the paper from Decci Emperado on 2014, I believe, which would be after his promotion as well. But anyways, I don't want to get into the history and the dynamic of that. That's something that I'd like to, not keep reliving. If we can at all make that happen. So with that said, I want to go ahead and move on. I want to talk about the next comment on here from Craig Logue. It says, please contact me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the KSDI BOA appointed by CJO himself, or at least a panel consisting of members of the Emperado family? And they exist to monitor and ensure that the integrity and legacy of Kajukenbo is carried on according to CJO's wishes, included but not limited to conduct of senior ranks, legitimate promotions, and representation of Kajukenbo as a whole. So having watched the video to formulate my own opinion, it simply sounds like someone has taken umbrage at the KSDI and BOA for doing the very thing that they were assembled to do in the first place. Just an observation, just an opinion. Neither here nor there, and not meant to ruffle any feathers or imply any disrespect to anyone. I appreciate your comment, Craig. I really do. And that's something we're going to dive into here shortly here. Part of what you said is correct, but a large part of that is not correct. Okay. But before I jump into that, let's go ahead and take a look at these other comments here from Anthony. Anthony, it says leadership is given by the team, by those who follow. If I'm right, that's the most important yardstick BOA looks at. That's a universal law. Next one says the truth is that people don't like rules, especially if they don't benefit from them. It amazes me that people are quick to call whatever they do kaju, which I prefer to say Kajukenbo because kaju is only part of it. But they want to change how it's done when it comes to promotions. If you got any martial arts sympathy for the color of a belt, then you chose poorly. And we got a pretty cool meme there that says he chose poorly. So back to Craig's comment here. Let's talk a little bit about the Board of Advisors. Okay, so this what I'm showing right here, this is the additional or the original certificate that I showed in my last video. It says Board of Advisors for CJO Adriano D. Emperado. It says there are 5 members with 2 alternates. The head of the board is Senior Grandmaster George Kanana. Hopefully I said that right. If not, sorry. Grandmaster Dechi Emperado, Grandmaster Rick Kinji, Grandmaster Angel Garcia Soldado, and Grandmaster John Loren, with 2 alternates, Grandmaster Vince Black and Grandmaster Gary Forback. Okay. The Board of Advisors to CJO will be responsible for screening of potential KSDI members being promoted to Professor or Grandmaster. CJO will give the final yes or no, and CJO has the power to supersede the Board of Advisors, e.g., if the Board of Advisors recommends yes on a potential member, and CJO said no, then it's no. Okay. And it's signed the president of the Kajukenbo Self Defense Institute, CJO Adriano D. Emperado. Okay. So we'll go ahead and state that basically states the original intent, okay, of the Board of Advisors. Now, with that said, I've gone ahead and I'm going to dub in 2 videos from when the Board of Advisors was promulgated, one of which was CJO himself talking about who the Board of Advisors is for.
This Board of Advisors to CJO will be responsible for the screening of potential KSDI members being promoted to Professor or Grandmaster for CJO to give the final yes or no.
Board of Advisors, my Board of Advisors, not for your folks, it's for me.
Okay. Then I've got a message here. This is a message from a Grandmaster in Hawaii. So not only did I get the feedback that I've already showed you, but this is some more positive feedback from a Grandmaster in Hawaii that says, "Hi, I'm listening to your YouTube video of the standards and the BOA. If you read the certificate, which is the one I just did, CJO never left the BOA without CJO's supervision. CJO didn't say in the event of his death he wanted the BOA to continue with the promotion because CJO was the last one to have the decision. I didn't know anyone who was promoted by BOA when CJO was alive. They started operating a few years after CJO passed away. Now, KSDI, the new administration, the Smiths, or Dichi's family, they adding the Emperado name to their names, and they made and give the power to BOA so they can do their promotions. But that didn't come from CJO. It was from Dichi's sons, because the BOA's main guys, Rick and Gary, didn't recognize them as Kajukembos because nobody heard from them before the 2012. Anyway, good investigation post you made. I appreciate your feedback there, Grandmaster. I left your name off there because you didn't make it clear whether or not you wanted me to provide that to anyone. So we'll move on to the next slide that I have here. And I said, thank you for the feedback and for providing further information. Personally, I'm not sure why rank is so important when we sprout for some pretty humble beginnings. To which he replied, it's all about control. And I truly liked the way you explained on the video clip. I had to share it on my page. Okay. Then he provided a copy here of CJO Adriano Emperado's letter that says, in the event of my death, it says, this is an example of CJO's will. It starts in the event of my death. When you look at the video or anything that CJO directly gives to BOA, never says anything of that. BOA is only for CJO when he was alive. Okay. So I didn't pull this up before, but here it is. But I'm going to talk about it here because this actually has some things highlighted, and I want to use that as I speak to this. But essentially, if you take a look at this, we'll go ahead and zoom that in a little bit. And you'll note that this was from CJO Adriano D. Emperado on 19 November of 1995. And it starts out, like he said, in the event of my death, I want my sons, Clarence Emperado, Adriano A. Emperado, Alvin H. Emperado, and Arthur W. Emperado, to continue my work in the Kajukenbo system and ensure that the Kajukenbo system remains in the Emperado family. All instructors in the Kajukenbo system are to keep on teaching the Kajukenbo system with dedication and faith, and will not bring shame or disgrace to the names of the creators of the Kajukenbo system, Professor Peter Y.Y. Chu, Professor Joseph Hulk, Professor Frank Ordonez, CJO Adriano Emperado, and Professor George C. Chang. Okay. Now you'll note that Clarence Emperado is kind of X'd out here, and from what I understand, it's because there were some problems with between him and the Emperado family that prohibited him from taking his place there. And then Alvin Emperado was highlighted in green. I'm not really sure why, but I think there's probably more to this story. And if any of you have any information, then feel free to share it in the comment section, or message me, and maybe we can expand on this further. And it also says, let it be known that my sister, Professor Dici Emperado, who is my business administrator for the KSDI organization worldwide, shall be the next head grandmaster of the Kajukenbo system until she sees fit to turn over the responsibility of grand mastership to my sons. I have chosen whose names appear below to be my advisors and helpers to Professor Dici Emperado. And of course, he lists a bunch of grandmasters and professors and Seagungs, which you'll note that Seagung Gary Forback, Seagung Rick Kenji, Seagung Angel Garcia, and Seagung Cherry Ortega, are listed here on this letter that was made in 1995 and was actually notarized, on the 15th of April of 1996. Okay, so then it goes into some conversation here between Rick Kenji, which is shown in the grayish section here, and the other individual that I haven't named. And it says, we want to make a real Kajukenbo. Rick Kenji says, we want to make real Kajukenbo the Sijo would love. Thanks for your support. And he responds, I know, we spend long talks about that. It's our job to protect Kajukenbo from so many grandmasters that are not Kajukenbo. It's making us look bad in the martial arts world. To which his response is, then it means that you are going to the event this year? To which Rick Kenji just replied, no, I won't go there this year. 4th of July is family time. So he makes a comment here that says that same year, him and Rick Kenji went to the KSDI event as a show of power that year. 2016, the Vegas event was empty, a total failure. Him, I think, refers to Gary Forback and Rick Kenji, because here we go and get into Gary Forback with a comment that he had posted on July 3rd of 2016. It says, to my students and Kajukenbo family that have been asking me, I do not have any relationship whatsoever with Grandmaster Jimmy Kimo and Emperado Smith, the other guy, or their group, and do not intend to in the future. Actually, I've only seen them 2 or 3 times at the Vegas tournament. Thank you and God bless. Senior Grandmaster Gary Forback, Sijo's BOA, student of Great Grandmaster Alejo Reyes. To which he also provides a comment, says in 2016, Gary Forback wrote against the Smith family, Dici's side. So then the next comment says that sent a message to the Smiths, who made an agreement with the BOA for support in exchange for making a document where the BOA can promote anyone they want to 8th and 9th, a document and statement that Sijo never did. And I'll show you this document, so don't worry. I know you can't read it there. So here's that document. Let's go ahead and open this document. It's Emperado's Kajukenbo Self Defense Institute and Sijo's Board of Advisors. The KSDI administration, Emperor Family Council, KSDI Worldwide, and Board of Advisors are honored to give this joint statement to all KSDI and Kajukenbo. The KSDI and BOA have agreed to fully integrate their joint efforts to carry out the duties empowered to them by Sijo, Adriano D. Emperado, founder of the Kajukenbo Self Defense Institute. Each will do diligence to their respective duties to ensure the integrity and future development of Kajukenbo. The KSDI administration and Emperado Family Council will oversee the organizational leadership and development of future leadership. The KSDI Worldwide will offer educational and technical support to KSDI schools and practitioners worldwide. The BOA is charged as the governing body that promotes and recognizes the prestigious ranks of KSDI, 8th degree professor and 9th degree Grand Master. Okay, we hereby affirm our faith and allegiance to Sijo, and we honor Sijo in the highest regard. His sacrifices in life for Kajukenbo warrants it. Sijo Emperado's KSDI and Sijo's BOA recognizes Adriano D. Emperado as KSD's only 10th degree and the art of Kajukenbo's only Sijo. There is not and never will be a successor to Sijo. And we make this commitment with great honor and pride to ensure that Sijo's Kajukenbo will endure for generations to come. Okay, so that's a pretty powerful statement there. You'll note KSDI is only 10th degree. Okay, there's several 10th degrees apparently in other associations, however, but not in KSDI. Okay, and it's signed, of course, by Dici Emperado, KSDI Chief Administrator. Looks like Great Grandmaster Carlos Bunda, the chairman of the BOA. Grandmaster, I think it's Timo Emperado, KSDI Administrator. Rick Kinji, BOA, it says chairman. Oh, liaison. And it's not sure the rest of these signatures are. Because I can't read them. Okay, but there you have it. So that was, from what I understand, in 2017. Okay, although, again, I don't see a date on this one, but I'm just told that was 2017. Okay, so then in 2018, he provides a copy of this post where it says WAC 2019 on April 15th of 2018. It says confirmation Grandmaster Kimo Emperado Kajukenbo KSDI BOA completed. And then there's a statement there to the right, but I think we'll hit that next. And it says the very next year, the BOA changed their statement and acknowledged the Smiths as the Emperados. Again, I'm sharing this for you because I like the way you are addressing the issue. Stand by what you think is right. You research, and I can't see anyone else that's standing for what is right. I appreciate that. Well, I don't know what else I could say about that other than I appreciate your kindness in that. I do try to research a little bit before I do make these videos. I did have a comment that was written on a web page that was deleted following all the comments and everything else that were made. I think I may have screenshotted those, and I just have to figure out if I did or didn't. And I could share those at a later date possibly. But essentially, a comment was made that now anybody who has a black belt in Kajukenbo and a YouTube channel thinks they're the historian. I by no means think I'm a historian, but I am a pretty intelligent guy, I think, and I'm able to read and I'm able to understand English. And I do watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I'm usually taking notes. So this isn't stuff that I just make up and pull out of my ass. This is things that people bring to me. These are things that people show me via media, like what I'm sharing with you right now. But you can see clearly here that this is the change that has been presented here between the couple of BOAS members and their opinions previously and what they are now. So with that said, I mean, I wanted to provide this information for you all to be able to take a look at it and make your own opinion. I'm not trying to hurt anybody with this, but I would like for us to come together as one Ohana and stop the bickering and the fighting and the finger pointing and the accusations going back and forth. So I think with that said, I think that's pretty much all that that I have to share. Let me take a double check here and make sure that I didn't miss anything, but I think that's pretty much it that was shared with me. And with that said, I hope to, if you have any questions or anybody else has any more information that they'd like to provide, by all means, step up. And I think that's really what it comes down to is I need more people to step up. We all need more people to step up to make Kajukenbo what it needs to be. You know, the question has been asked is, why is Kajukenbo not as popular as Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, for example? And for one, I would think would be the marketing and all the things that went into the UFC. However, I think a large part of that is a lot of the politics and the BS that's going on. And I'm not naive to think that I'm not part of that. Okay. But I am doing it for what I do for a different reason. Okay. I think that the standards, there ought to be standards. Okay. But I think that the standards ought to apply to everybody equally. And I don't think that anybody's thirst for power should override, anything else. Yes, ideally it would be a better situation if we did have a head of Kajukenbo. And I think that was intended by the letter that I presented, that we do have the Emperado family running Kajukenbo, and not a de facto board of advisors, whose sole purpose, as delineated in all the documentation that's been provided and all the video evidence that's been provided, was to only provide a vetting process for 8th and 9th degrees for KSDI. With that said, I apologize if anybody's offended by anything that I've said or shown you here tonight, but I think that this is pretty much the facts. And this is one of those situations where, I think that, embracing our truth and embracing our real heritage in Kajukenbo is something that we ought to be doing, and we ought to be passing on to those that we're teaching. And we need to stop the MMA attitude from creeping into Kajukenbo. This isn't a weigh-in where we're going to talk a bunch of smack to sell tickets. This is not one of those situations where we need to talk smack about each other to make ourselves look bigger than we really are. And I'm sorry that, that I am the one that has to step up to say this. I mean, there's plenty of 9th degrees, 8th degrees, 7th degrees, 6th degrees, and 5th degrees, and 4th degrees above me that I shouldn't be doing this. Okay. But if you're one of those, please stand up and lead. Okay. If you want me to shut up, then lead, and that's all I can ask. Otherwise I'm going to press forward with what I think is correct, like it or not, and I apologize once again if you're offended by that, but I'm going to stand by my truth. And I've always stood by what I think is right. So anyways, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you listening, and I wish you a good evening. And please leave any comments or thoughts in the comments down below. So anyways, thank you for your time. Mahalo.